Mr. Rohan Sabnis, VP Sales Growiz.ai. Let me give a small introduction about him. Mr. Rohan Sabnis, a B2B solution expert, transitioned from chartered accountancy to making learning enjoyable. With diverse roles and a focus on continuous learning, he excels in understanding industries and stakeholders. The topic will be scaling learning effectiveness in the age of AI with the conversational role plays. So with this, can we have Mr. Rohan over the stage with a huge round of applause, everyone. Sir, stage is all yours.
Hello, hi everyone, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here in an AC room in this crazy heat that is in Delhi. Just come from Bombay where we have had a spring of rain, so there is some relief. Cool, my topic for today is talking about conversational role plays and conversational intelligence. We've spoken a lot about learning, we've spoken a lot about capability building, and we've spoken a lot about skills. But a lot of our skills and learnings are also associated with very important conversations that we need to have in the workplace. These conversations can stem from sales conversations. No matter how well, let's say, a salesperson knows his products, knows his process, how he has that conversation with the end customer, how he probes the customer becomes very important. Similarly, in a service environment, when the customer is angry about something that has not happened, and it's not in the, let's say, the service person's control, how does he still pacify the customer, understands him, and shows that empathy? This is a conversational skill. In let's say, a corporate setting, let's say someone like a first-time manager, how do we train a first-time manager to have a review with his reportee, someone who's had perhaps more experience than him? So these are all examples of different conversations that happen in our day-to-day life. And unlike product knowledge, unlike functional technical skills, conversational skills are not something that can be taught in a classroom. They are not something that can be learned through an e-learning course. Of course, there is some effect of it, but they are best typically learned through practice. The more you practice different conversations, the more you get better at it. That's why, no matter how, engineering skills can be demonstrated by someone very young, but typically we look at a lot of experience when we make certain senior leadership hires. That a lot of that experience is essentially what they have done throughout their time, where they have learned through practice, done different rights and wrongs, and that's something that we see in our conversational role plays. So I'm going to give you a quick example of how these conversations are different and what we are doing to ensure that we can prepare our people better for them. Quickly talking about why am I qualified to talk about this? So as you already heard, I'm a chartered accountant who has come to the learning space. No lack of relation. Learning and software was very alien to me. It's just something that I was super passionate about. As an organization, we have worked in the space of learning for the last 8 years, both at a frontline as well as at a corporate mid-level and senior level. And these are a few awards that we have won at various global recognitions. Talking about specifically conversational skills. So there are 3 core points that I would like to highlight about why conversational skills are different. So one is that we spoke about earlier, that conversational skills are learned by practice. The more you do them, the more you have different permutations and combinations of them, because not every conversation is the same. The better you get at it, the more experience you get. The second is, when you have conversations, you need constant feedback. Back in the day, a lot of people used to practice in front of the mirror. Let's say if I were to make a presentation, I would have practiced in front of the mirror and seen how how I look like. But the problem is there is no feedback for me. I don't know whether I'm doing well or not. Today there are again a lot of tools which do that. But the point is, how can we make this a much more seamless process where without involving other people, we make this a two-way constant feedback. When we do a lot of role plays in our physical workshops, there's a lot of feedback that we get from the trainers, our seniors, or even our managers. So how can we replicate the same at scale the way we want to without a human bias? The third point is, when we build these conversations have to be extremely contextual. They have to be extremely contextual both to our organization, the industry to which we belong, the company to which we belong, the way our culture is defined, and the way our goals are set. The AI needs to understand the products or services that we sell and how we sell them. We also need to align it to the learner. What tenure does the learner come from? What is his experience level? What is his knowledge level? And build it as a combination of the two. And then again, constantly iterate on them. Once we create something, how fast we can make changes based on what we see on the ground becomes super important. So with this, we created a tool called Growiz. Growiz will essentially have the ability to have AI-powered role plays, where the AI will play the person in front of you. It could play the role of a reportee if we are trying to train a first-time manager. It could play the role of a customer if we are trying to role play a client conversation. It could play the role of an angry customer who is calling about a service that has not happened. So it can play any role that we want it to. And how does it play this role? We give it context. So we give it context where we set up the scenario about what we know about the organization and what we know about the learner, what we know about the situation. We in fact tell the AI that this is your role, this is your persona, this is your age group, this is what you're angry about, and these are some of the underlying issues that you are affected by but you may not want to talk about. We can even go into slightly more detail and define the mood of the customer. How easygoing, how easily he is going to, respond to what is being said by the learner and so on. We can decide what are the skills and competencies that we want to map through this role play, either to improve learning, or we can also have a use case of hiring, where we are looking at screening people through their conversational skills post their initial assessment. And the fourth is the moment of truth. When they actually go through the role plays, what actually happens? How do they manage these different difficult situations is something that the AI takes care of, and we as a learning head, we as an HR head can see a quick overview of what people are doing in general. We can deep dive into specific scenarios. We can look at all of this information when we are doing the reviews and so on. When we created this, of course, there was a lot of things that we needed to think about, starting from infrastructure and security. Where do we host this? How do we work with different LLMs and create a model that works for a conversation? Would audio work better for this, or would like a video work? Because conversations are always had with a person. You need to see a person face to face. But there's also the context that you also want quick latency. When let's say someone gives a response, you don't want the response from the AI to come too late. So how do we kind of trade off between the two? How do we train the AI to understand multiple dialects? If I'm doing something in India, I can't have the AI which does not sound very natural. It has to understand English. It has to understand the combination of Hindi and English that we speak. Not just perhaps Hindi and English, but also, let's say, Kannada, Tamil. If we talk about, frontline workforce, it becomes super critical. It understands all of these contexts. If we talk about, let's say, international situations, let's say an IT consulting company that deals with a Japanese client, it's very important to understand the Japanese language, but also the Japanese culture, because there are certain things that are very, very different in terms of what is okay and what is not okay in Japanese culture. So these are a few things that we needed to think about. With this, we created a system where making a role play became super simple. Within 15 to 20 minutes, we could create a role play for a client based on their exact context. So we took the client-specific context. We gave the AI person the context. This is the persona that you're going to follow. This is what you're going to do. We can also set the mood for the AI, so that people can practice in front of different moods, and we can relate it to the prior learning that they've had. I'm going to quickly skip to giving you an example of how it looks like. So I'm going to show you an example of a first-time manager who is going to give feedback to Vikram, who is a person who's been working in the organization for a long time. Vikram has had a good performance record, but in the recent past, his performance has dipped and there have been some issues. So I have to highlight this to him. At the same time, Vikram has also been overlooked for a promotion, so he's going to talk about that. So how do I manage this difficult conversation is the scenario that I have set up. There are certain points to be covered, and there are certain skills that are mapped at the end of this.
Hey, hi Vikram. Hope you're doing great. So thanks for having this meeting at a short notice. So the idea of this meeting is to discuss some performance issues that I've been noticing of late, and wanted to understand how you feel about this.
So while I give that initial response, the AI will come back to me with the feedback. I want you to notice that we have said Vikram to give a very regional context to what he responds as. You'll notice a very Indian accent while he's talking. Further down in the conversation, I'll also show you what a non-Indian accent looks like. So both will be
Hi,
demonstrated in the same
thanks for
role.
bringing this up. But honestly, I don't see any significant issues with my performance. I've been consistently meeting all my deadlines and producing high quality work. I am even currently managing some side projects that we've taken up. However, I do acknowledge that there could be room for improvement, and I'm open to feedback.
No, I understand. तो मैं आपको I'll give you some specific examples. जैसे I think ऑफ लेट अपना जो कोड का क्वालिटी है that's kind of gone down और बहुत सारे iterations हो रहा है उसमें और जैसे भी आपको कुछ junior members को train करना था उसका भी I think I'm not very happy with the way that's happened. So yeah, so just these are some very quick examples. Wanted to see if you had some thoughts on this.
So two things. One is the language that was spoken was a combination of English and Hindi. So that's something that I wanted to demonstrate, that how easily the AI is able to understand how we speak very naturally. The second element is the way the persona, the Vikram, responded was very defensive. So someone who will not admit in the first go that something has gone wrong, who will kind of hold up to what he's done and still expect the best. So we still have to probe further and then get the best out of him. So that's the conversation.
I see where you're coming from, and I appreciate you bringing these issues to my attention. It's just that, honestly speaking, I've been feeling a bit overlooked lately, particularly after not receiving the promotion I was working towards. I've also had some disagreements with the new changes in project management, which don't fully align with my vision. I understand that this doesn't justify a drop in my performance, but I suppose it's been affecting my motivation and focus at work. In fact, I've been dealing with some personal challenges outside of work too, further adding to my stress. I realize I need to handle this better, but I just thought it was important that you know. I'm committed to improving my situation and reigniting my passion for my work, just trying to figure out how to go about it.
So this entire conversation that happened after this, I think one is the accent change. So that was on purpose. This is not something that would happen in a regular role play. But we wanted to show you that the same thing can also be done for different dialects. The AI kind of opened up. Vikram really opened up. So that's something that we want people to practice doing in different scenarios, thereby increasing the difficulty level where they do it. So this is, let's say, an example of role play. I'll also want to quickly show you what happens after this. So after this, you get a quick feedback in terms of what was your score on a scale of 5. You get a subjective feedback where the AI broadly tells you that these are a few things that you did well. This is something that you perhaps missed out on, and in the future make sure that this is something that you focus on. So we can kind of give a broad layer of how the feedback should be given, and that is extremely configurable about how as an organization we give feedback. Next is there are certain points that we want to cover. So every conversation also has a technical layer, a functional layer, some knowledge level. So we can also assess whether that knowledge that we want to cover is covered, not even covered or partially covered. And there is some scale, some scoring related to the point coverage or the knowledge coverage. Further, I can dive down deeper, and based on the skills that were mapped, what has been the score of each skill? That is something that I can see. I can also get conversational insights like, what was the energy level? What was the energy level? What was the, words per minute? How fast did I speak? Ideally, we don't want someone to speak too fast, too slow, difficult to comprehend. So as you can notice, I speak too fast. And finally, how is this whole thing built? Just to give you a very quick overview, the setting up the role play, the first part is where I give the learner the situation. This is the easy part, where I say that this is the situation that you have to go through, and this is, you have to kind of play out this role play. The second part is the most interesting, where we tell the AI of what the situation is, that Mr. AI, this is the, you are having a meeting with your manager, who's become your first time manager, and this is your first meeting. On the right side, you'll see, where you say, you Vikram Singh are a senior software developer. You're a bit upset about the recent promotion that you've been missed out for. And though you've had a very good performance over the last 4 years, your performance has recently dipped because of these issues. So a lot of things that came out in the conversation have already been told. to the AI to play this out. One important thing here is we have set the difficulty level at a certain level, aggressive. We have kept the user language as something, and we have also, you can kind of modify which is the voice that does this. You can map different skills here, so 3 skills are already mapped. We can add additional skills, we can add different competencies that are native to your organization which are not here. We can define and calibrate how each skill is displayed at level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And finally, we can decide, when the learner gets his feedback, what all do we want to display to him? Because in certain cases, the use case may not be learning, it may be assessment. So in an assessment scenario, we may not want to give them that detailed level of feedback. So that is also configurable at this level. So I think my time is up. I quickly just wanted to show you an example of how this is done. Would love if you could join over to our booth, where we can create some of these role plays very specific to you, deploy them, and actually see the power of Gen AI in conversations. Thank you.
Can we give him a huge round of applause? Mr. Rohan, please be with us. We would like to congratulate you with a small token of appreciation. For that, can I have Mr. Anil Tyagi, Director HR, Kusum Group of Companies. Sir, can we have you here on the stage to present a small token of appreciation to Mr. Rohan for their presentable conversation we had today?